Rain poured against the glass walls of the hospital like the sky itself was crying for him. Alexander Price, the billionaire who once ruled the world of technology, sat motionless in his wheelchair, staring blankly at the storm outside. His reflection on the window was a ghost of what he used to be: proud, strong, confident. Now, he was broken. It had been 3 years since the accident. 3 years since the private jet crash that took his fiancée's life and his ability to walk. The world called it a miracle that he survived, but Alexander didn't believe in miracles anymore. "Mr. Price," his doctor's voice echoed as he entered the room, "the new experimental therapy didn't work." "I'm sorry." Alexander didn't respond. He didn't need to. He had heard the same words too many times. Every new treatment, every hope-filled plan, all led to the same dead end. When the doctor left, silence filled the room. It wasn't the peaceful kind, it was heavy, suffocating. Alexander rolled his chair closer to the window and whispered, "Why did you leave me, Emily? You were supposed to be here." Tears welled in his eyes, but before they could fall, a knock interrupted his thoughts. "Sir?" It was his housekeeper, Martha. "There's someone here to see you." "I'm not taking visitors." "She's not exactly a visitor," Martha said hesitantly. "She's with the cleaning company. They sent her because our usual staff is out sick." "I said no visitors," Alexander repeated sharply. "I'll send her away then." But before Martha could close the door, a soft, confident voice spoke up from behind her. "Excuse me, sir. I can leave if you want, but I promise I won't get in your way. I just need to finish the job I was sent for." Alexander turned slightly. The voice belonged to a young black woman, no older than 25. She had deep brown eyes and hair pulled into a simple bun, wearing an oversized cleaning uniform that looked borrowed. She held a small bag of supplies, but her posture carried quiet strength. "Unbothered, steady, fine," he said after a pause. "Just don't touch anything near my desk." She smiled lightly. "Yes, sir." Her name was Layla. She began cleaning silently, humming a soft tune that somehow filled the air with warmth. Alexander didn't recognize the song, but something about it tugged at his chest, like a memory he'd forgotten. As the hours passed, Layla glanced occasionally at the man by the window. The world saw Alexander Price as a cold billionaire, but what she saw was loneliness so deep it was eating him alive. "May I ask you something?" she said finally, breaking the silence. Alexander's brows furrowed. "You're not paid to talk." "I know," she said with a small grin. "But cleaning a room this quiet feels like cleaning a tomb." His eyes flicked toward her. "Then clean faster." Layla laughed softly. "You've got a sharp tongue for someone who doesn't move much." That made him turn fully toward her. "Excuse me?" "You heard me." She put her mop aside. "You're alive, but you're acting like you died in that crash. Maybe your body's hurt, but your soul's the one that stopped walking." For a moment, silence fell again, but this time, it wasn't cold. Alexander was too stunned to respond. No one had ever dared speak to him like that. "What do you know about me?" he asked finally. Layla looked at him gently. "I know pain when I see it. And I know what giving up looks like." He studied her. There was something about her, calm but fierce, gentle but fearless. "You talk like you've healed people before," he said dryly. Layla smiled mysteriously. "Maybe I have." The next day, she came again. And the day after. Somehow, Alexander didn't stop her. She cleaned, talked, laughed, and slowly brought light back into a home that had forgotten what warmth felt like. One afternoon, as she wiped the shelves near his chair, Alexander noticed a small glass vial fall from her pocket. It shimmered with an odd blue glow. "What's that?" he asked. Layla quickly picked it up. "Just something from my grandmother," she said, tucking it away. He raised an eyebrow. "Does your grandmother run a lab?" Layla chuckled. "Something like that. She was a healer back in my village. People said she had magic in her hands." Alexander smirked. Magic doesn't exist. Maybe not the kind you see in movies, she replied softly, but real miracles happen when faith meets action. Her words lingered in his mind long after she left. A week later, Alexander had another bad day. His physical therapist told him his leg muscles were deteriorating. Frustrated, he dismissed everyone from the mansion and locked himself in his room. That evening, Layla arrived quietly and found him sitting in the dark, staring at the floor. "You shouldn't be here," he muttered. "I know," she said gently. "But I brought something." She took out the same glowing vial. The liquid inside pulsed like it was alive. "What is that?" he asked. "My grandmother called it the essence of belief. It's not a drug, not a chemical. Just hope in its purest form." Alexander let out a bitter laugh. "You think hope can make me walk again?" Layla's eyes met his. "No. But believing you still can might." Before he could protest, she kneeled in front of him, her gaze steady. She uncorked the vial, and a faint scent, like rain after drought, filled the room. Then, she sprayed a few drops on his legs. A strange warmth spread instantly, crawling up his veins like liquid fire. His heartbeat quickened. What did you do?" he gasped, gripping his chair. "Just breathe," Layla whispered. "Don't fight it." The sensation grew stronger, pain, sharp and unbearable at first, then shifting into something else. Movement. A flicker. His toes twitched. Alexander froze. His eyes widened in disbelief. "Layla. I felt that." Her smile trembled with emotion. "Then don't stop now. Try again." He focused, sweat beading his forehead. Slowly, painfully, his foot moved. Then his other. His knees jerked slightly. Tears streamed down his face. That he had forgotten what it felt like, the power of his own body, the miracle of motion. By the time the sensation faded, he was crying openly. How is this possible?" Layla placed the vial back in her pocket and whispered, "Some miracles aren't meant to be explained. They're meant to be lived." That night, for the first time in years, Alexander slept peacefully. Days turned into weeks. Layla stayed by his side, helping him practice small movements. The doctors were baffled. "It's impossible," they said. "Nerves don't just regenerate like that." But they did. Within a month, Alexander took his first step. It wasn't perfect, he stumbled and nearly fell, but Layla caught him. Their eyes met, and in that moment, everything changed. He realized it wasn't the liquid that healed him. It was her faith. Her light. Her belief that something impossible could happen. When he finally stood on his own 2 feet, he whispered, "You made me believe again." Layla smiled, tears glistening in her eyes. "No, Alexander. You made yourself believe." As his strength returned, so did his purpose. Alexander founded a new branch of his company, Project Reborn, focused on funding regenerative medical research and supporting people with disabilities worldwide. When reporters asked how he recovered, he simply said, "A miracle found me when I stopped looking for one." Months later, at a charity event celebrating his recovery, he spotted Layla standing quietly in the corner. She hadn't changed, same calm smile, same humble presence. He walked toward her, his step steady and sure. "You saved my life," he said softly. She shook her head. "You were always meant to walk again. I just reminded you of who you are." Before he could say another word, she placed the vial in his hand. "It was empty now." "I won't be coming back," she said gently. "Others need me more." Alexander's heart sank. "Layla, wait," she smiled one last time. "Keep believing, Mr. Price. That's the real miracle." And with that, she turned and walked away, disappearing into the crowd like a dream fading with dawn. Alexander stood there, the empty vial glowing faintly in his palm, a silent reminder of hope reborn. Years later, his company changed millions of lives. But every time he looked at the rain outside his window, he remembered her words, "Real miracles happen when faith meets action," and somewhere in the world, a young woman named Layla smiled, because she knew the impossible had happened once again.